is not doing great, but he's doing okay.
We knew him as the man who could survive anything. He was the unshakable force who walked barefoot over broken glass in Nakatomi Plaza, the boxer who refused to take a dive in Pulp Fiction, and the oil driller who saved the entire planet in Armageddon. For decades, Bruce Willis wasn't just an actor. He was the archetype of American resilience. He was the guy who always had a wisecrack ready, the smirk that said he knew something the bad guys didn't. But the latest update from the Willis family forces us to confront a reality that no action movie could ever prepare us for. The hero is fading. And this time, there is no third act twist that saves the day. His eldest daughter, Rumer Willis, has just broken the carefully maintained silence surrounding her father's condition. And her words have shattered the hearts of fans around the world. It wasn't a press release. It wasn't a polished statement from a publicist. It was a raw, unscripted moment of vulnerability that confirmed the one thing every child fears most about their aging parents. She pulled back the curtain on what life really looks like inside the Willis household. And the picture she painted is one of profound tragedy mixed with a heartbreakingly beautiful resilience. That it all started innocently enough. Rumer, who has been navigating her own journey as a new mother, opened up her social media for a simple question and answer session. Usually, these interactions are filled with questions about baby clothes, skincare routines, or memories from movie sets. But one fan decided to ask the question that has been on everyone's mind but that few dared to ask directly. They simply wrote, "How's your dad doing?" In the world of celebrity, the standard answer to this is a deflection. We're used to hearing phrases like "he's resting comfortably" or "he's in high spirits," vague platitudes designed to keep the public at arm's length. But Rumer didn't do that. She looked into the lens, and you could see the weight of the last 3 years in her eyes. She chose not to lie. She admitted, with brutal honesty, that for anyone dealing with frontotemporal dementia, the baseline is never good. She said, "He's not doing great." Those 4 words hit like a sledgehammer. Not doing great. It was the first time a member of the immediate family has publicly acknowledged that the trajectory is downward. For a long time, the narrative has been about living with the diagnosis, about making memories and cherishing the time left. But Rumer's admission forces us to look at the ugly truth of this disease. It is a thief. It is a progressive, degenerative monster that doesn't just take memories, it takes the person. But she didn't stop there. What she said next was even more devastating. She revealed that there are now moments where her father, the man who raised her, the man who cheered for her when she won Dancing with the Stars, the man who has been her rock, does not recognize who she is. Imagine walking into a room to see your father. You see the face you've known your entire life. You see the eyes that looked at you with pride at your graduation, the hands that held you when you were a child. But when he looks back at you, there is no flicker of recognition. There is only a blank slate. To be a stranger to your own parent is a specific kind of hell that families of dementia patients know too well. But hearing it happen to Bruce Willis feels like a cultural loss. It signifies that we are entering the final chapters of this saga. However, Rumer's update wasn't just a list of sorrows. Amidst the darkness of the diagnosis, she described a phenomenon that is baffling neurologists but comforting the family. She spoke about her daughter, Luetta Bruce's first granddaughter. You would think that if a man struggles to recognize his own daughter, he would have no capacity to form a bond with a new baby. But the brain is a mysterious engine. Rumer described a spark that ignites in Bruce whenever Luetta is in the room. It seems that while the cognitive pathways, the circuits that hold names, dates, and facial recognition are eroding, the emotional core of the man remains untouched. He might not know her name is Luetta. He might not understand the family tree that connects them. But he knows, on a primal, somatic level, that this small being is someone to love. Rumer described seeing him light up, a flash of the old Bruce returning, anchored not by memory, but by pure feeling. It is a bittersweet mercy that he can still be a grandfather. Even if the intellectual understanding of that role is slipping away, to truly understand the gravity of Rumer's words, we have to look at what the family is actually fighting. This isn't normal aging, and it isn't simple Alzheimer's. Frontotemporal dementia, or FTD, is a particularly cruel beast. Unlike Alzheimer's, which typically attacks the memory centers first, FTD goes after the frontal and temporal lobes of the brain. These are the command centers for personality, behavior, language, and impulse control. This means that before the memory goes, the essence of the person changes. The sharp wit, the charisma, the ability to communicate complex thoughts. Those are the first casualties. When the family first announced Bruce was stepping away from acting in the spring of 2022, they cited aphasia. At the time, the world thought this was just a speech issue, perhaps a result of a stroke or injury. We thought he'd just had trouble finding the right words. We didn't know that the aphasia was just the opening salvo of a much larger war. By early 2023, the diagnosis was upgraded to FTD. Now, less than 2 years later, we are hearing about a lack of recognition. The speed of this decline is terrifying. It explains why the family has circled the wagons so tightly. They know that time is not a luxury they possess. This brings us to the unit. If there is any silver lining to this tragedy, it is the absolute fortress of love that has been built around Bruce. Rumer's update wasn't just about her experience. It was a testament to the ecosystem they have created. We have seen the images of his ex-wife, Demi Moore, sitting side by side with his current wife, Emma Hemming Willis. We've seen the 5 daughters Rumer scout Tallulah Mabel, and Evelyn moving as one protective force. This isn't a fractured Hollywood family squabbling over a will. This is a blended family that has rewritten the rulebook on co-parenting a crisis. Rumer expressed profound gratitude for this. She knows that this level of care allows Bruce to remain at home, in his own bed, surrounded by the things and people he loves, rather than in a sterile facility. They have created a bubble where Bruce's confusion is met with patience, where his silence is filled with music, and where his blank stares are met with warm hugs. Rumer spoke specifically about the power of physical touch. She said that even when he doesn't know her, she is grateful she can still go over and hug him. She believes, and she's right, that the body remembers what the mind forgets. She spoke about feeling the love back from him. This is a crucial distinction. Bruce is not gone. He is not an empty shell. He is a man trapped behind a failing interface, but the signal is still there if you know how to tune into it. But we also have to acknowledge the toll this takes on the people left standing. Rumer is the spokesperson of the moment, but her update sheds light on the silent struggle of her sisters. Tallulah Willis has written heart-wrenching essays about the early days of her father's decline. She admitted that before they had a name for the disease, she took his distance personally. She thought he had just lost interest in her, that he had moved on to his new family and left her behind. She described the agony of realizing that his indifference was actually his brain dying. Rumer's current state of acceptance stands in stark contrast to those early days of confusion and hurt. The sisters have had to mourn the father they knew while learning to love the man he is becoming. It is a grieving process that happens while the person is still alive, a psychological torture known as ambiguous loss. And then there is Emma. We cannot parse Rumer's words without thinking of the woman who is there when the daughters go home. Emma Hemming Willis has become the care partner, a term she prefers over caregiver navigating the daily minefield of FTD. While Rumer gets the spark of the grandfather, Emma deals with the confusion, the medical appointments, the safety concerns, and the crushing weight of watching her husband slip away. Rumer's update is, in many ways, a tribute to the environment Emma has cultivated. The fact that Bruce is healthy enough and calm enough to have these moments with his granddaughter is due to Emma's tireless round-the-clock vigilance. The tabloids, of course, have been relentless. Over the last year, we've seen headlines claiming Bruce has completely lost his joy, or conversely, that he's totally fine and planning a comeback. Rumer's honest assessment cuts through all that noise. She clarifies that it is neither of those extremes. He isn't living in constant misery, but he is certainly not fine. He is in a state of existence defined by the disease, yet punctuated by moments of genuine connection. This nuance is so important because it dismantles the sensationalism that often surrounds celebrity illness. It replaces the glossy magazine version of events with a grounded, human reality that anyone who has cared for a sick relative can recognize. The reaction to Rumer's video has been seismic. It seems that seeing the invincible John McClane reduced to a vulnerable, elderly man has touched a nerve globally. The comment sections aren't filled with yippee-ki-yay anymore. They are filled with stories from strangers. My dad had FTD and he forgot me too. My mom is going through this. Thank you for speaking out. Bruce Willis has inadvertently become the face of a disease that has been ignored for too long. By sharing these painful details, Rumer is validating the pain of millions of families who suffer in silence. There was a specific tone in Rumer's voice that we need to pay attention to. It wasn't hopelessness, but it was resignation. It was the sound of radical acceptance. She isn't talking about treatments. she isn't talking about fighting the battle. She is focused on maximizing the now. She explicitly stated she is happy and grateful for what she has left. This shift from fighting the diagnosis to embracing the remaining time is a significant psychological milestone. It signals that the family has moved past the initial trauma of the diagnosis and is now in a phase of cherishing the twilight of his life, however long that may last. Rumer also touched on how communication has evolved. With the language centers of the brain being the first to crumble under FTD, the Willis household has had to learn a new language. They can't rely on witty banter or deep conversations anymore. Rumer's description of feeling the love implies a shift to nonverbal connection. Touch, presence, music, and the energy of the grandchildren have become the new vocabulary. If they tried to force Bruce to speak, it would only lead to frustration for everyone. Instead, by meeting him where he is, in the quiet spaces, Rumer finds those pockets of joy. It is a masterclass in patience. This update also forces us to look at Bruce's legacy in a new light. For decades, he was defined by his output, the movies, the box office numbers, the fame. But in these final years, his legacy is being redefined by the love of his family. The fact that 5 daughters, an ex-wife, and a current wife are all standing shoulder to shoulder around him says more about Bruce Willis, the man, than any movie role ever could. You don't get that kind of loyalty by being a movie star. You get it by being a good father and a good husband, even as his memory fails. The evidence of who he was is reflected in the women who are protecting him. Rumer's admission that he doesn't recognize her sometimes is the hardest pill to swallow. It's the nightmare scenario. But notice how she framed it. She didn't say, "It kills me when he doesn't know me." She said, "I'm grateful I can still hug him." She has reframed the loss. She has chosen to focus on her own capacity to give love, rather than his capacity to receive or acknowledge it. This is a profound lesson for anyone dealing with grief. She is continuing to pour love into him, not because she expects a transaction, but because he is her dad. The love is the point. As we watch this slow-motion goodbye, we are all becoming witnesses to the long goodbye. The Bruce Willis of Moonlighting and The Sixth Sense exists now only on celluloid. The Bruce Willis of today is a quiet man in a California home, watching the sunlight, holding a baby he feels a connection to but cannot name. And yet, Rumer insists that he is still there. The spark is the soul. The disease can eat the brain, it can scramble the neurons, it can steal the words. But Rumer is telling us that it cannot consume the spirit. The future is uncertain, and yet entirely predictable. FTD is a one-way street. The family knows this. Rumer knows this. That is why this update feels so heavy. It is an acknowledgement that they are in the final act. But it is also a declaration that they will not let him walk this path alone. They are squeezing every ounce of life out of the days they have left. They are celebrating every smile, every moment of eye contact. Every time he reaches out to hold little Luetta's hand, in sharing this pain. Rumer Willis has given a gift to the world. She has reminded us that our heroes are human. She has shown us that vulnerability is not weakness. And she has demonstrated that even when the mind fails, love is the one thing that remains recognizable. Bruce Willis may not always know his daughter's face, but he is safe in the knowledge, felt, if not thought, that he is loved. And for a man who spent his life saving the world on screen, perhaps being saved by his family is the most important role he has ever played. The silence that follows a question, like, "How is your dad?" It's usually filled with awkwardness. Rumer filled it with truth. And in doing so, she allowed us all to say a quiet, respectful thank you to a man who gave us so much, while giving us permission to let him go. Slowly, just as she is learning to do. The action hero is resting now. The father is still here. And as long as that spark remains, the Willis women will be right there, fanning the flame, ensuring that he feels the warmth of their love until the very end.